A big update now on improving safety and security. Today we've obtained a draft of recommendations from a new congressional task force, and it covers what Capitol Police need to do differently and some new permanent security features. Matthew Torres has been poring over this report. He's live outside the Capitol with new details. Tell us, Matt, what's inside?
Well, Adam, this report coming as we're slowly seeing things coming back to normal, even though you may still see the fence around the Capitol. Just on the other side here on 3rd Street near the National Mall and the reflection pool, the barrier that was there has now been taken down. This report about the Capitol Police say the force was understaffed, insufficiently equipped, and inadequately trained. So there are now recommendations from hiring more officers to doing something about this fence many have come to despise.
Capitol Police seen removing signs a group of protesters hung on the fence over the weekend.
If you don't want to get involved with anything, then you need to take these signs down.
Protesters demanding D.C. statehood and for the fence to come down. Thomas Walker of Arm & Arm says it's not only an eyesore, but an overreach of law enforcement.
Especially when you compare that to their lackluster response on January 6th.
The fence is a constant reminder of what happened 2 months ago, but a new report analyzing Capitol security recommends a mobile retractable fencing option that can be easily put together and removed in case of a threat.
The most important things to me as a DC resident would be that the local residents still have access to the public space on the Capitol grounds.
It's one of many recommendations in a 13-page document by a task force House Speaker Nancy Pelosi commissioned. It suggests filling vacancies and beefing up the agency by hiring more than 900 officers and employees. That would allow more time for training and avoid overtime. The report says police need to establish what's called a quick reaction force to respond to crises faster. Equip officers with earpieces and body cameras, adapting mounted officers again, expand the K-9 unit, and review screening procedures and background checks.
Where is the National Guard? How come they're not here?
Most notably, it recommends giving the commander of the D.C. National Guard emergency authorization, and for the Capitol Police Chief to summon troops without the board's approval. In one of the hearings, the commanding general says it took more than 3 hours before the National Guard was deployed.
I had already had guardsmen on buses at the Armory ready to move to the Capitol.
Now, this report did not exactly say how much the price tag is going to be, but the Capitol architect in a hearing last month said that repairing the damages and enhancing safety alone could cost at least $30 million. The Capitol Police responded by releasing a statement saying they will be reviewing the recommendations. To read the full statement, you can find it on WUSA9.com. Reporting live at the Capitol, I'm Matthew Torres, WUSA 9.
Yeah, we know it's going to take quite a bit of time before all this gets sorted out. Matthew, thank you.